Now, I think we need to speak about Bashy's song, How Black Men Lose Their Smile, which was on his album, Being Poor is Expensive. Now, it's been out for since July now, but I think it is, in my opinion, the most important song to come from the UK in this decade. And I don't think it's been spoken about enough. It's one that is very important to me. And I don't think many black people have heard this song and have it not resonate with them. I don't think I've heard a song so eloquently and accurately depict the experience of black men in particular in the UK. And I think all of us can take something from this song. And I feel like I'd even go as far as to say, if you have a black friend, black colleague, a black partner, that I can say I feel like you'll never fully understand me or them until you've heard this song. So I want to just have a deeper dive into the lyrics and just explain why it's so powerful, and just also reference on my personal experiences as to some of the things Bashy, aka Ashley Thomas, is referencing in the song. So let's have a look at the lyrics. So yeah, firstly, looking back at some pictures and they had me thinking, wow, I was a happy child. Now, even that, just the opening line, I think it says a lot. It's very powerful because the fact he's looked at his pictures and said, wow, he's taken aback by pictures showing his own happiness and just how carefree he was as a child. So as a man, I think he's about 37, 38 now, but it just shows that how far removed he is from his happy, innocent, childlike self and what life has done to him pretty much, because he's surprised by pictures of him being happy. So it shows that there's been things, especially someone that has pretty much successful rapper and actor, pretty much had all his dreams come true, and he's still taken aback by the sight of his own happiness. And he's even said in his interviews that as he's grown up, he has become a lot more serious than he once was. So it says a lot. So if that's happened for him, imagine what it's like for other black men who haven't had their dreams come true and have had similar struggles. Let me go back to the lyrics. So yeah, like I was a happy child, very happy, my hair nappy, running wild in my nappy world. Even that just perfectly depicting just his innocence as a child. He was free, he was happy, his hair was natural, he just running wild. He was a baby, he was a carefree baby. And I think he does a really good job, like with the rest of this intro, just depicting how he felt as a child, how happy he was. And let's just go deeper into that. Yeah, beautiful beautiful skin, dark chocolate brown. Again, even that is powerful in itself, because as me, as a dark skinned black man, like growing up, being dark skinned, people tried to make us feel ashamed of it. Even other black people, colorism was a lot more prominent, I'd say, in like the early 2000s when we were growing up than it is now. Like having dark skin, you got teased for it, and it was a lot. So even just him saying, my skin was beautiful, dark chocolate brown, just owning that. And I think Bashy himself has done that really well, even earlier in his career. Because I remember in one of his songs, Death is Just a Page Away, he's got a song that a lyric that really resonated with me, where he said, I'm tall and skinny, I'm black like a hockey puck, good looking black boy who just don't give up. And like that lyric, I remember that meant a lot to me growing up as like a teenage, tall, skinny, dark-skinned man who was, had a lot of society trying to make me feel ashamed of my skin tone and being gangly and shit. And it made me like have a sense of pride in that. Yeah, I'm tall, skinny, I'm black like hoip, like I'm still good looking. Like it helped. One of the lyrics that helped me own my dark skinness. And yeah, I have to thank Bashy for that, really. If he ever sees this video. But yeah, he continues that with this lyric. Yeah, rarely wild, riled, temperament mild. Before the age of one, I can count. Just showing that how bright he was even before the age of one. the world was home at my nana's house, everyone dancing, laughing loud. And I feel like, again, like every black person, or those of us, the fortunate ones of us who had a tight knit family, like an extended family, can all just probably just remember being at our grandma's house, seeing all of our aunts, our uncles, and our cousins, just having a great time, just enjoying each other's company. With just within the family, we're in a bubble, just really just enjoying each other and just being happy and content, and just seeing everyone sort of like jovial, you know, especially what all of our parents and aunts and uncles, our grandparents went through. That was just the one time everyone came together. Everyone was just happy, and we just felt safe. I even now, as I just think about times where I was at my grandma's house, just surrounded by family, and it's just they're some of my fondest memories, and I'm sure I'm not alone in that, and I'm sure people even in different ethnicities, even like the white community, will probably have some great memory just having their family around. I just think the difference is between, like, you know, black people in that environment and white people. It's just like white people have that sense of safety pretty much everywhere in the UK because they're the ethnic minority, the majority here. So they don't really feel that sense of not belonging. So for us, those moments at our grandma's house where everyone looks like us and everyone just in mass just being themselves. It was our one of the few places where we all just felt safe, children and adults alike. And I think it's in the way he depicted it is brilliant. And yeah, he goes on to say, everyone dancing, laughing loud. There was encouragement all around. Safe environment could be myself. Exactly, pretty much what I was saying. He's depicted it perfectly, and just those lyrics really bring me back to that time. My hair in plaits long as any girls. Got to school, they said to take it out, and that's how black men lose their smile. So that is I feel like, have you heard of the saying "death by 1,000 cuts"? I feel like this song is pretty much depicting what it's like growing up as a black boy to a man, and just how society just chips away at us. And Bashy he started the song just painting the picture of his innocent, happy, safe childhood where he could just be himself, run around in his nappy, have his hair natural, thrive academically, and just glow, shine as the talented black boy he was. And as soon he gets to school, the first hurdle, the first of the 1,000 cuts, he has a long, glorious hair. He gets to school, and they say, your hair's not allowed like that. You have to take it out. You have to cut your hair. And that has been still a problem to this day, where kids have had cane roads, have had locks like mine, and their school hasn't allowed it. I think there's still a court case going on where a black teenage boy he's been banned from his classrooms for over a year because he's refused to take out his locks. So it's still a problem to this day. And as a child, you're from there, all he's done is turn up to school the same way he's turned up at his nana's house where he was allowed to be himself. And he's told just by default of having black hair that he's wrong. He's in the wrong. So it automatically sets the precedent that just me being myself, I'm doing something wrong. And it puts you in a predicament. It puts you in a box. And it sets a precedent where you just feel like, no, like, what else am I going to do that's wrong? You kind of on the defensive straight away. You've just got to the door. All you've done is have your hair how you've had your whole life, and you've been told it's not allowed. So you're kind of on the back foot. Like, what else am I doing that I'm used to doing as normal is just going to be not allowed? And it kind of almost, I wouldn't say invites, but it kind of sets the expectation that you're just going to be called out for the smallest, most pedantic things. Because if my hair's wrong, just from growing out my head, what next? It sets the expectation. And that is, the first step of how black men lose their smile. And I think just from that part, it sets the precedent perfectly for the rest of the song, just how black men just lose their smile gradually. And now let's go to the next part of the song. I was a clever child, Smart, I was sharp as nails, more advanced than my whole class. Learning at their pace slowed me down. Sped through work, then would mess about. They should have given me extra help, but said I was troubled and kicked me out. That's how black men used to lose their smart. Now, even that, this is one I really relate to personally, because I was also that child that was, just speeding through work. And then, yeah, I got bored. Even I remember in like parents' evenings and stuff. I think the same thing happened to my mom because she'd always have my back. Yeah, shout out, mom, man, love you. Where like parents would complain to me, to my mom, about my behavior when I was like in like year 1, year 2, my infant years, infancy, yeah, where they'd say, yeah, I'm misbehaving. And my mom would say to them, he's misbehaving because you're not challenging him. Like, give him a challenge and he'll sit down and do the work. But they never did. So yeah, that also just sets a precedent where, your excellence isn't being rewarded. Like Bashy in the first part of the song, where it's like, before the age of 1, I could count, and he's got encouragement around him. So when he's doing well, counting for the age of 1, everyone's applauding him. Yay, Ashley, well done. Here's something else to do. Where in school, you finish your work, and then you're kind of just sat there waiting for everyone else. You're bored, so you've got all your friends around you still working. So you're like, maybe poking and prodding and making jokes because you're bored as hell. You're a 6-year-old kid. Then they're telling you to just sit still. So that even teaches you at an early age that your excellence isn't going to be rewarded. It's going to be punished by boredom and then eventually punishment, and no acknowledgement for what you've actually accomplished, because you're not given extra work. You're not given the extra work. You're not being encouraged to advance. You're just told to just sit still and wait for everyone else. And personally, that very much discouraged me from putting in effort in school, because for one, it was already easy, so I was in autopilot. 2, when I did finish my work quickly, yeah, I'd get punished, kicked out because I'll be messing around. And I also kind of just thought, what's the point? What is the point? I might as well just coast, because then I can just finish work at the same time as people and not get in trouble for being bored. And then obviously when you have those kind of risks with your teachers, your relationship weakens and you lose faith in your teachers because they're punishing you for just being a smart kid. And then eventually you go through the academic rankings and going through the years, and because of that, your natural instinct is to have a negative perception of your teachers. And I feel like for me, it kind of got to the age where there was times where the workload did become challenging and I did need help at extra points, but I'd been conditioned to think teachers aren't on my side, and a lot of the time they weren't. So there would be times where I just kind of loaf around and just not try whether I could do the work or not, because I didn't have a good relationship with teachers that had been conditioned into me from when I was 6. So I'm sure, yeah, he's kind of hit that nail in the head. Like we're not really put in a position to excel, and that also contributes to us losing our smile. So let's go for more. Yeah, like I said, the system set me up to fail. Didn't share features with my teachers. That has effects on your sense of self. That has effects on your mental health. That is true. Like I said, most of our teachers, it's amazing now. I think in the present day and age, there are a lot more black teachers, and I'm so grateful for that for the future generations. And even though the white teachers are around, I think in my generation, a lot of the white teachers have a better grasp on racism and unconscious bias, and I like to think a higher percentage of those teachers will make more of an effort to have their kids of all races feel included and feel seen. But yeah, when I was in school, that really wasn't the case. Yeah, none of the teachers, you've gone from being at my grandma's house, my aunts, my uncles, my parents, grandparents, all black, looking like me, sharing my features, that would tell me to do things. It felt comfortable. And then I've gone into school where no one looks like me, and they want to exude the same authority as my parents or my aunts and uncles. And it's there's going to be a disconnect. And because of the cultural differences, they may not know how to talk to me to get the best out of me and to get me to listen, because they're used to a different way of interacting with children that look like them and not me. As well as the unconscious biases, the social stereotypes that they may have thrown onto me and children that look like me when they are like grossly inaccurate. And that will affect how they talk to us as kids. And then again, it will reflect badly on our behavior and how we react to them. But yeah, again to the lyrics. Yeah, lies out of the colonizer's mouth. Teach us that we didn't build Egypt. That's how black men lose their smile. Again, doing history lessons, talking about Henry VIII, the Victorian times. And then when it comes to Black History Month, they show us a slave ship. That's gonna cause inferiority complex all the time. If you're not fortunate enough as a black child to have parents that are educated about our history, luckily for me, I was reading about Muhammad Ali and Malcolm X when I was like 7, 8 years old. Now my parents were well informed and they taught me at home, and I went off and read my own books. So I was well aware of, our history. And also, yeah, that you'll see in the exercise books at school, like you see a picture of a pyramid and a pharaoh, and it's a white man wearing a pharaoh get up. And so they're teaching you in school that either white people or some people say aliens built the pyramids in Egypt, when it was really people like us. So, the fact that we were a lot more than slaves in our history, that slavery isn't our history, it's a blip in our long history. Like we were, again, obviously we weren't all kings and queens in Egypt, but Egypt is a part of Black history, and that isn't taught to us, as well as a lot of things. All we're taught about Black history is slavery and oppression and a very skewed narrative. So yeah, it's another reason why that disconnect makes black men lose their smile. And let's continue. Saw young pictures of my dad, so handsome, happy and proud. Growing up, I just saw him frown. At the time, I couldn't comprehend life through the eyes of a juvenile. I had to live. I understand it now. Black man living in the next man's world. That's how black men lose their smile. Again, I think we all come to that realization where, when as like black kids, when we get older, like especially experiencing yourself, like for me myself, I've had, even in this day and age, I've had quite a few racist encounters at work. One of my jobs I quit like the day after because the CEO of the company made a racist joke at my expense. So imagine in like the 90s and 2000s how much worse it was for our parents and what they had to endure just to make sure that we had a roof over our head and food that on the table. Like for me, the only reason I had the luxury of quitting that job is because my parents were in a position where they could support me. I was living with my parents. They could support me while I looked for another job. Well, when they're my age, bringing that kind of stress home, there have probably been times where they were more aggressive and had animosity and towards their kids, and maybe over disciplined us because they weren't equipped to handle that kind of stress and trauma. And to be honest, no one should be. But our parents were put in that position, and we may have seen them be like, why are they so angry all the time? Why are they so aggressive? Like, that was an overreaction. Like, on face value, it was, but we have no idea what they were enduring to get them to that point, and what they had to go through just to make sure we have the future we have now. So again, a perfect like 10 out of 10 like description of how we come to understand not just our dads but our moms, and why they may have been the way they were at certain stages in our childhoods, and just learning to accept that. It's powerful, man. Here where we are, yeah. Menelin strong, so we all stand out. Prejudice everywhere that I exist. Feel like I live my whole life in trial. Karen scared, weaponizing fear. Phones come out and police get dialed. That's how little white lies can kill. And that's how black men lose their smile. That's how black men lose their life. So continuing, it's not, the stakes have risen now. It's not just our happiness and our morale that's at stake now. It's our lives. We've gone to a point where just being black, just puts our lives in jeopardy. All it takes is one sob story from a Karen or a dude, some white guy who knows that if he cries wolf, the authorities are going to be on his side or her side or their sides, if we're including all the pronouns. And it could result in us being killed by authorities, or they themselves could kill us and just get off scot-free. So yeah, it's mad. There's no escaping that. And we all live in that perpetual state of caution, because we know at any moment that could be our reality. There's nothing stopping. It's just a matter of chance. And we have to live with that every day, every interaction we have. There's one example I have actually where this kind of happened to me, where I was walking down the road with one of my co-workers on my lunch break. He's another like black man. I think he's gone through a few things, because he don't look like he didn't handle the situation well. We were just walking down the street and there was this white dude. There was a bit of pavement theory at play here. And for those of you that don't know, the pavement theory is that pretty much white people like exude their white privilege by pretty much when they're walking down the pavement, they won't move out the way for black people. Like they will just expect you to move. And there's definitely truth in it. And to be honest, since I've heard about it, I've stopped moving out of the way for people, because I'm not gonna lie, I'm a big guy. So if you walk into me, it's gonna be a bigger problem for you than it is for me. So I only move out of the way if I see them make effort to also adjust their body and make way for me as well. There was pavement theory at play here, and he kind of just didn't move. And my co-worker said to him, "What are you doing? Move!" And they got into like a verbal altercation, which ended up in my co-worker pouring his drink over him. And I was like, "Bro, like, calm down. Like, this is not that deep." I was trying to calm the situation down, and I even said to him, "Like, you okay? Like, relax. Let's just like leave it here." And then he kind of just ran away and like got on the phone, and he's gone on the phone. He's like, "Yeah, no, police. I'm being attacked by 2 black men." I was like, 2? I'm trying to help you. What are you talking? What do you mean 2? And he was like, kind of like, "Oh, sorry." And like, I nearly like snatched the phone from him, but I thought, you know, if he says that and the phone goes dead, they're gonna think the situation's a lot worse than it is. So like I let him finish his call, and I was like, I was trying to help you. Why are you doing that to me, kind of thing? But the thing is, he knew I wasn't attacking him, but he knew if he said the words 2 black males on the phone to the police, he would get an urgent reaction and automatically get them on side. And the crazy thing is, like 5 minutes later, there was a policeman like in the area, but they didn't know what office we went into. So they kind of like looked around and was like, we couldn't do anything. We literally saw the police officer through the window of our office, like looking around. And it's crazy because they got there so quickly when literally a week ago, there was a stabbing on that road and the police took like 40 minutes. But when it's 2 black males, 5 minutes, they've got someone there. So it just shows their priorities when it comes to black males. So that's my real life experience of how white privilege can end up in the death of black people just through someone exerting that and using it to their advantage. So it's mad. Yeah, the stakes have risen. We've gone from not being able to have our hair the way we like it to having to worry about our lives. And I think the way this song has built up to this moment is masterful. But let's go back to the song. That's how black men lose their life. The world has made me hate myself. Scared of men that look like me. Self-hatred rooted so deep. Him or I must protect myself. I'm going grave or I'm going jail. And that's how black men lose their smile. And this is also quite heartbreaking because I'm not going to lie, I've never really subscribed to it myself, but I've definitely seen it. And I've definitely like had that energy to like being brought towards me. There's like gang violence. You see like 2 black youths or like seeing the groups like intimidated by each other or trying to prove themselves, or just, yeah, we've also been indoctrinated with the with those stereotypes. When a black man's dressed a certain way or looks a certain way, he's going to act a certain way, which has not only um, prejudicial white people that look at us a certain way, we've also had it within ourselves. And it's again like such a huge change from the world at my nana's house, like everyone looking like me and encouragement all around, to people looking like me and I feel scared or intimidated. And I feel like it's me or him. It's created this, there's been a kind of dog eat dog environment created. And yeah, the change as you grow up is quite, it's crazy. Let's go back to it. Yeah, saw my granddad old and frail, face turned hard from the pain he felt. No complaints, played the hand he's dealt. Told me his history and made me cry. Told me a story and made me melt. Because that's how black men lose their smile. Now, to be honest, with my granddad, God rest him, he never lost his smile. And that's something I'll always be grateful for. But yeah, like we know the world, especially for our grandparents' generation, it was very hard on them. They're like anything we've experienced, they've experienced like times a million. And that would have broken a lot of older black men, like spiritually. And yeah, to be on all they really, we just have to do our best to ensure that their sacrifices and what they had to endure was for nothing. I think that's the least we can do, to just literally make the best of our situation, maximize your potential, put that extra shift in, just go that extra yard. I feel like that can be our superpower, to just inspire us into doing more, whether it's, you know, your own personal goals, or whether it's just doing your bit for society, for our society, and just for us moving forward as a people. We just need to just remember, whether you're like doing your thing on the road, like did your granddad really uproot himself? Oh, because well, no, both me and Bashy, we're from, you know, our grandparents came from the Windrush. Did our parents really, or grandparents really, uproot themselves from their home to come here and build for you to be running around with a knife trying to kill people that look like you, or to be flipping just not working hard or coasting, or just drinking and sexing your life away when none of your goals are being met? And even if it comes to, I know the economy is hard and life is hard at the moment, it's cost of living crisis. Even if it comes to a point where we have to uproot ourselves and go somewhere where that will help us fulfill our potential, and just not give up. Because, you know, if our grandparents gave up, where would we be now? We wouldn't be here. So I could have probably said it in a more eloquent way if I planned what I said, but I feel like you get the picture. But let's go back to the lyrics. They were parents, so they couldn't just be like, "Oh, forget this job. I'll find another one." They had to thug it out and take it on the chin, because it was a necessity at the time. And where are we? Listen, this bit, man. This bit always gets me. Had genocide, been terrorized, been scrutinized, been brutalized, been ghettoized, been sexualized, been sterilized, been plagiarized, unrecognized, been jeopardized, been tyrannized, been trivialized, been stigmatized, been ostracized, demoralized, dehumanized, traumatized. Just like take a moment to take in all of those words and what they mean, and then take an extra moment to realize, when it comes to black people in the West, well, globally, really, every single one of them has genuinely happened to us as a people. Every single one of those words. How many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 11, 12, 17 horrific experiences. 17. You could take 2 of them, and that is enough to derail someone's whole life. But we've had 17 of those words. and they all apply to us. Maybe not all as individuals, but as Black people. I believe my connection was lost, but luckily the rest of the footage is still there. So we're going to start again. But yeah, like I said, 17 of these words, like I said, 3 of them would be enough to derail someone's whole existence. But the fact there's 17 very poignant, traumatizing words, and all of them apply to us as Black people. We like it. It epitomizes how much we've gone through and how much we have to overcome just to live the basic standard of life. Like, most people wouldn't put themselves through this to swap places with Jeff Bezos or LeBron James or like Sabrina Carpenter or someone. Like what we've had to endure just to be here existing is insane. And that's why I say, like, it's so perfectly put into words what we've had to endure. And for anyone that hasn't had to, anyone that's not Black, who hasn't gone through what we've gone through, like, this song really, it's a real like gut punch of reality of what your Black peers have had to experience. But yeah, he said again, traumatized but full of pride. So despite that, we still have our pride, we have our sense of self. We know we can still stand 10 toes down and say our life matters, we matter, we're here to stay, and we're going to keep fighting. And that in itself is beautiful. I just hope one day we don't have to fight no more. But until then, I'll bring it back to my granddad. One of his favorite sayings was never give up the fight. And I do try to embody that every day I live. Every time, any hardship I experience, I always like think of my granddad and what he said, what he's gone through. Hold me traumatized but full of pride. Hold me down and still I rise. Hold on my shoulder, still I thrive. By any means I will survive. I will try till the day I die. We're out here fighting for our lives. And that's how Black men lose their smile. Like, it's a perfect and powerful ending to the song. Because even though our smile has been lost through what we've experienced, we're still here, we're still fighting, and we're gonna keep fighting. We'll lose our lives before we lose our will to fight. And it's a very real message, a very real feeling, a sentiment that the majority of us can relate to. And it's one I'm very grateful that Bashy has vocalized, and I don't think I've heard it vocalized any better by any other artist in our generation, if I'm honest. You can quote other rappers that may have more commercial success, but I feel like Bashy he's hit home with this one. And I don't know, man. It's just I feel like I hope I've done an adequate job unpacking what I believe is a true masterpiece. And I do hope this song makes it to curriculums across the country, across the world even, and just people really take the time to absorb the message, absorb the song, appreciate it for what it is, and really just further the narrative of Black men losing their smile so it doesn't happen anymore. I'd also love to see a version of maybe of how Black women lose their smile. Maybe if there was like an Annie or Lil Sims or something that could continue the narrative and talk about, because to be honest, for Black women, it'll probably be an album worth as opposed to a song's worth. But maybe, yeah, that could be something that happens. I'll be very intrigued as to how that will go. But yeah, that's me. Again, I hope I've done an adequate job covering this subject and this song. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Well, thank you.